Okay, so that was more of a confirmation. Yeah. So that was blah blah blah. Alright, so anyways, these are the butterfly weeds and they're flowering. They're very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. I'm glad I bought them. I it's kind of compromising between the two, but I'm glad I bought two of them because they grow. These definitely have grown a good amount since I've gotten them, but they're beautiful to have here. Gives a nice vibrancy. I think that the butterflies really like. Oh, what's this? Not sure what that is, but that looks cool. Yeah. And here's the autumn sage, still alive, and here's the mango tree, vanilla mango. Um, yeah, so I'm not quite ready to. Doing alright. I mean, the leaves turned green. I thought they were dead, but it turns out that's just maybe the new bloom or the new flowers. New leaves, I think they turned this brownish color, so that's good to know. Alright. My bamboo giving me and some shade, so I am not complaining. And my Mexican lavender right here. Mexican heather, Mexican lavender. It's a type of lavender. It's in the family, but yeah. Here's my lemongrass. I love my lemongrass. I'm doing pretty well, and I really need to do something about this pot because I just had it here sitting here for weeks, and I haven't planted anything. And the corn, I think this one is just really tiny. Like I think the top is right here and the bottom is right here, but this one, out of all of them, this is the most successful one. But I feel like there are some things missing and some kernels, but I'm not complaining because I'm learning from this. So I think what I need to do is probably plant more so I have a higher yield of successful and more corn with kernels in it. So yeah, and I think they do a special technique to make the corn very plump and mature in the stores. But it's not for me to do because I'm smaller. I am smaller. Just a little backyard. Um, and here, this is salvia, as in the words of Epic Gardening. In SoCal, it's definitely important to have some sort of verbena or salvia in your garden. And so, yeah, I have these. I had the purple top verbena over there, but it, I'm gonna wait until winter time before I buy those again. I don't want it to go do that again. And I'm gonna do much more research to see how I can keep those alive because just because things are drought tolerant, like I said before, does not mean that they may grow better or less in a region. So I think that's something that probably requires more TLC than other drought tolerant plants. Yeah. So I got the hibiscus is growing. I think every few days or so, I got new blooms. Like these are new, these are new. This one, I think the bloom just dropped. This was the old bloom. And yeah, they're beautiful. Of course, look at it now. Yeah, but they're great to have them on. I hope hummingbirds came around. Because I try to get the most vibrant flowers and stuff that they may like. Yeah. Another theory to me, though, what I'm thinking is why some flowers may look kind of dead at first. Because honestly, I just thought the lavender wasn't doing so well. I thought I was just gonna take it out and not have anything to do with it, and maybe just, keep it in its containers. Um, but look at it. It's growing flowers, brand new flowers. Of course, not all of it is alive, but a great majority of it is looking really well, especially when it's getting a lot of sunlight. So I think it settled its way into this pot and it's growing, it's thriving. And I'm really happy about that because lavender to me is kind of difficult to grow. It's kind of difficult to keep alive. You know, it is a plant that's known well in California, and so it is to many. It's a tricky plant to grow, especially when you're a beginner, and you know you see like a flower, a pot of lavender at Trader Joe's or Lowe's or something like that, your local nursery. So it's a funky, tricky plant to get to know. They do require to me like a little bit more TLC. Why don't you, Lavender? You guys are doing pretty well. Thank you. You really scared me for a second. For a long minute. Yeah, but I'm glad they're doing well in this spot. Here is the lantana. They lots of beautiful blooms. It was mostly pink for a while, but as you can see, we have some yellows and oranges, and even some reds kind of going in there. It's very vibrant. It's very beautiful, and I love these lantanas. I have them a few years back, but like I said before, I did have some difficulties. I bought a lot of plants, but it's because of the cats, you know, and plus it was just one of me back there and a huge pot of land to take care of. I couldn't do it. You know, I'm still a student now, but I was a high school student and going directly to school and stuff, and you know, having to come back after school and then having to work on the weekends. Yeah, that's too much time that I didn't have. So that's why pretty much all my plants didn't make it through time. I think they're the ones that you gotta get a good amount of land for and proper soil, which is another thing. I couldn't just go and get some potting mix from like a big bag of soil from Lowe's, you know, as close to the house, and then just take it on the bus. It doesn't work that way because I was riding my bike. Um, but yeah, so that's just like a little short story as to why maybe this thing didn't work out before, because I did not have a car. I was always going to and from school, and plus I went off to college, and I didn't have a car at the time. And so there was other things that was going on campus where I kind of got involved in. But since we are home, everyone is pretty much home at the time. I can just stay here and do whatever. Yeah, so that's a little backstory. I know it was a little bit of a tangent, but I believe it kind of explains why I'm doing this now and why my whole story behind it is. Alright. Let me go around and show you the lettuce. I'll sit down and I'll tell you. So I put these in the shade because, as you know, I think they don't do well in the sun at all. Like, especially in the hot sun, that's what I meant. They don't do well in summer, so they're not kind of thickening out. They're kind of shooting up, getting ready to flower, and so that's the main issue. And they, surprisingly, actually go really fast. They're really getting ready to flower. Look at it. Kind of looks like a weed, actually. How fast it's growing, but yes, it's even though I kind of have it in the greenhouse. I didn't put it up here because I know that's where a lot of the heat kind of gets trapped in and stuff, but I've been harvesting a good amount, and I think I'm going to harvest some a little later today. But I kept them in the shade so they won't have to be in the direct sun. But they're still, so they're healthy. But it's not their season, and so I don't blame why they're not doing as well now. But they're doing pretty well compared to if I was, put them right in the sun. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, so I had a little story of that. And yeah, I think I went through everything. So I'm just gonna go inside here, turn on the fan. So I actually bought this. I think I mentioned it, but I just finally found the battery. So I'm gonna put some water in this today and have like a little cute little oasis. Um, so I had a flea jump off of me, so that's why I was kind of afraid to come back in here for a bit. I'm telling you, these fleas are no joke. I really hate fleas. I really hate fleas. Once again, I really hate fleas. Um, I've dealt with animals, like a bunch of other pests, but I hate fleas because they're parasites and they live on you. It's really hard to get rid of them, and I really hate fleas. So, yeah, I really hate fleas. That's all I have to say. Um, I haven't been able to do any art projects in here yet because I think my schedule is kind of a bit funky. It is kind of funky, but I have still bought some stuff that I found nice. Like I went into Ross and saw this. I was going there for some clothes and stuff, maybe a couple other things, but I saw this and I said, you know what, this is beautiful. I should have it. It's kind of like its own wind chime, but very chic. And I think even if once I get another place or something, this is still a good addition to have. This doesn't take up a lot of space. It still gives it a nice, very chic feel. Actually, I think I have one that's blue. I don't think it's the same one, but I have one that's very similar to it and it's blue. But I wanted to get one that's white because this one has a cord in it, and I felt maybe it could have like a little match with the little screen I made here. And I just put this off to the side in case I do need some light in the night. I also finally got my charger, portable charger arrived. The solar powered one, so I kind of took it out, and well, I didn't take it out. I just kind of kept it inside, but it's really meant for out here. So I'm gonna have one for out here that I can at least. Oh, and I have this one too, but of course this one is not solar powered, so it's not. It ain't all that. Yeah. I think I mentioned this before. I don't know if it's doing too well in the shade, but they said it does well in the shade. Oh, it's a shade plant and da da da. But if it's not, then fine. I'll just take it outside. Probably find another nice indoor plant to have. But yeah, I wanted to show off. Oops, I wanted to show off this. It's a mess in here. Sorry. I want to show this actually, because it's still part of the garden, but just in here. This thing is so adorable, I'm not even kidding. I mean, look at it. I legit had this for just about a year now. I think next month will mark 1 year since I've had this, and look how, it's really been through a lot. I mean, I got it from IKEA, I had it in the house for a while, and then I took it to see someone with me, put it directly on the table, I think the dining table, and then just kept it there. And yeah, so I had it there for about a month. When I came back, the thing was still alive. I kind of did this, and I know that's why this one is still doing pretty well now. It's because of the roots are being well nourished. But when I came back, I wasn't expected to be gone for 2 months in the past. Well, when this whole pandemic started, so if had I known that I was gonna come back in 2 weeks, but had I known I wouldn't have been able to come back, I would have taken everything with me. I would have probably moved out earlier, but it's still good because I got to keep the stuff in the school for free without them tossing at least a lot of my stuff away. I think people stole some of my stuff, but that's a different story. But yeah, I got to keep it in there, and it did pretty well. I'm glad I was able to keep my stuff there for free, and I'm glad that this thing still ended up being alive. Look at it. It's still growing new leaves. When I had it, was kind of a lot of had some leaves that were dying, but it looks nice. It looks well. I mean, this is really a tolerable plant. I mean, some people they grow them outdoors, but I think to me they do well indoors. And it seems like yeah, they do pretty well in greenhouses too, which is this is legit indoor outdoor living, if I do say so myself. Um, yeah. Sometimes though I gotta do a little commentary though on the greenhouse overall. I'm glad I bought this. I am. And I think the reason why I probably got this and not a larger one is because of space. Really, I was just looking at the car. You know, the car here is just kind of giving me a limited amount of room. I'm not complaining. It still kind of gives off a barrier because I don't want to end up expanding and then spending even more money. You know, because everything here, is flexible, but it's just I'm not sure of exactly how if I were to get an apartment or something that obviously that wouldn't happen, but I'm just trying to see though if I were to get like a space because even though I think with the whole urbanization thing that's going on, they are building some, or they have the bungalows with a limited amount of land, or bungalows with good amount of land. But I do think um, it is kind of funky sometimes with some homes, especially I think in more affordable areas. You got to be flexible with space because sometimes they won't even have any the land or yard and stuff, and if they do, it's just either shade or just in the side of the house. And so, I think for me, space, backyard space with a good amount of sunlight is important to me because I don't want to, and once again, I am for urban development, but I'm more for having more green space. You know, and be able to allow anybody to be able to grow like a salad garden or something, or like a little food pot out their balcony or patio for themselves. So, and that's why I kind of didn't want to look into downtown because downtown it does, the tall buildings and stuff. There are a lot of buildings that don't even get the light of day sometimes, and it's because of the tall buildings. Um, and trust me, I would love to live that little lap of luxury, a high-rise tower and stuff. But I think that definitely is more of a temporary thing because I don't want to. There are some things I understand that you have to sacrifice when you're here, when you're in the city. But that's definitely something I don't want to sacrifice. I think this is probably um, well, I've done it all throughout, basically, all throughout 2014, and it didn't work out. But I still have some, pomegranates and tangerines, like a dwarf tree that is growing very well. But I think the issue is that the cats and stuff. So I found a solution. It's working out. I'm really happy that it's working out, and I don't have to. And when I built everything, the assembly of everything, I think, well, but excluding the patio stuff, because that was just more for its functionality, but it's more so, just to lounge and comfort, because I think that's important when you're outdoors and doing a lot of work. But building the beds and stuff, that each one took me about an hour to do alone. And compared to having to spend hours and hours trying to dig in the soil, like the soil and the ground over there, and then having to still buy having to buy some healthy soil, having to buy more fertilizer. I mean, people probably want to use pesticides, but I don't want to. It's not good to use pesticides, especially in an organic garden. But using that, yeah. So you just have to spend the time breaking the soil so the plants can grow and not just the roots end up kind of being stuck and having issues with the plants and the plant catching all sorts of diseases. So you have to spend a large amount of time just breaking the soil, moisturizing the soil, making sure the soil is nice, making sure you have a not an infestation of earwigs and other. Um, they're not, earwigs aren't so bad, but it's just too much of anything could be an issue. So at least here we have earwigs. Um, and so yeah, my issue is just that's a lot of work to do. I mean, I went to the community garden, and already I spent a long time just pulling out weeds and stuff and making sure. And those are some invasive weeds. They kind of took over the garden. They had some other crops in it, like the garlic that I pulled out, but it was still very invasive. So that alone took at least an hour to do. In fact, 2 hours, like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And my thing is, it's just that was just me. That was one bed, and I just don't know how far this whole thing is just. Yeah, that's just so that back there is like at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks, like you have to spend at least 7 hours every day just making sure the soil's nice. If you want to put a pathway, make a pathway, and then making sure you put something down to avoid weeds kind of growing out. They use mulch. Mulch is kind of tricky because you can either get it for free, you can get it for really cheap, or you gotta buy it from the store, and it can be more pricey to kind of lay it down. So it's just, to me, it's kind of like a tricky thing. And so yeah, it's I know this is kind of like a rant, and it's not kind of, it is a rant because I mean it's kind of tiring. It's pretty tiring. Yeah, it's gardening. Nobody ever said that it's easy work. It isn't. It's fun. And you definitely reap what you sow. You get benefits and stuff after you put in some time and energy into what you do. Yeah, so I wanted to show, I think, something else indoors, because that's another plant. Oh yeah, my little windmill. I'm gonna look up because things are a bit messy in this area. And get a little tour. Oh, so cute. Bun 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 buns. Right. Here we go. I forgot to show these all. So these are gonna be the last thing before I end the video. Thanks for listening to my rant prior to that, because it's just things that's been on my mind and just had to say it. So I think my mom actually, she put these in the pot. These kind of grow. These are very good. These are probably the easiest things to grow. Just give them a decent amount of sunlight. Change the water every few days, and voila, you got yourself a new pair, and that's great. These, look, I think it's been about 2 weeks since I planted these, and look at it. It's crazy. I mean, this has gotten really light because I know it basically pushed out all of its nutrients into these, I forgot what they call them, shoots. And I'm just thinking though, because I think I'm gonna have to cut some of these and actually kind of pull them out, but it was kind of funky to me. But it's really cool because I wasn't sure if this is gonna work. Put it back, and then I have the I have the guava plant, guava sprout that the woman gave me, and I'm happy about it. It's cute. So to kind of give it a decent amount of sunlight and wait till it gets big enough until you transplant them. Basil. How do you find love? Whoopsie, sorry about that. Basil. Their leaves are actually has an aroma now. This one has 2. This one has 3 plants. And then here, this one I actually planted about 2 days ago, And I'm sure within the next few days I'm going to get something out of this, which is cool. So yeah. And here's my last one. This is the zinnia. This is the one that's supposed to go tall. It has grown, and I do think I need to transplant it today. So I'm gonna put this somewhere where I know if I don't move it, my brother's gonna bother me and tell me to move it. So I'm gonna move it outside. But yeah, I'm gonna turn the camera around. Thanks for watching. I know this one was longer because I ranted on. And also, it's month 3, and I just wanted to explain a little bit more about what has been going on during the past 3 months. I'm really happy that that everything is working out. At least most of everything is working out. These community gardens, I've learned so much from. So shout out to the Crenshaw Community Garden. Whoops, light does not do well for me. Shout out to the Crenshaw Community Garden and shout out to Caesar Carver, because those two, I never knew they were so close. Never knew they were actually more open towards everyone, and it kind of brings the community together. And I hope, at least with some of them, they it's great. I'm really glad they existed. So it's really good. Yeah. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. And I'm gonna upload the video today. I think I finished uploading, rendering, my tomato sauce. So I'm pretty excited to show that. But anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my rant, and I'll see you guys next week.